On August 24th, 2019, under the direct order of the police, an Aurora, Colorado fire paramedic physically detained and sedated Elijah McClain with a forced intramuscular injection of 500 milligrams of ketamine that was 50% higher than what's prescribed for excited delirium syndrome, except that Elijah did not exhibit any signs of the syndrome. 20 minutes later, McLean had no pulse, and a few days later was declared dead. This is only one of many similar incidences and points to a repeated pattern of chemical restraint being disproportionately used against Black, Indigenous, and people of color. An organization of psychiatric providers who are trained in the use of ketamine to treat depression, PTSD, and other psychiatric conditions have issued a public statement on exactly how they feel ketamine should be administered, in what settings, and by whose directives. Today, we talk with Dr. Carl Spitzer, a co-author and signer of the statement, graduate of the CIIS Program of Psychedelic Therapy and Research, and also a board-certified emergency physician with 30 years of extensive experience who has worked also in the ketamine-assisted psychotherapy for the last 2 years. Thanks so much for joining us, Carl.
Thanks, Marisa. Nice to see you.
Most people know about ketamine as a surgical anesthetic used in hospitals, and they know that in smaller doses, it acts as a psychedelic, but it is also used as a tranquilizer by trained medical personnel. It's remarkable and a bit surprising that this one drug has such a wide range of uses. Can you tell us a little bit about how ketamine is used by medical personnel to sedate people?
Sure. Yeah, ketamine is a remarkably versatile drug. It is on the World Health Organization list of essential medicines because used properly, it has a number of really beneficial uses and a relatively high therapeutic index, meaning that it can be used safely at a wide dose range. And it is used typically in the operating room or in the emergency department. In slightly higher doses, we sometimes use ketamine to sedate people who are severely agitated in the emergency department. And we tend to try to use other means of sedation first, or talking people down. You try to de-escalate a situation, but there are certain times when people are so severely agitated that they need something to sedate them for either their own safety or for the safety of the people that are trying to care for them.
Can you tell us specifically what happened in the case of Elijah McClain that led to the issuing of this statement?
A number of things that went egregiously wrong in this case. One of which, it really seems that Elijah presented no danger to himself, no danger to others, did not exhibit any of the classic signs of what we call excited delirium or agitated delirium, which in and of itself is a somewhat controversial term. So he didn't really require sedation in the first place, right? Secondly, the request for the injection of ketamine seems to have come at the behest of law enforcement, and that's backwards. The decision to chemically sedate or chemically restrain someone is a medical decision. It's not a decision that should be made by law enforcement. So, those two things right there really are where it went off the rails. And then third, the dose that he was given was at least 50% higher than the Aurora fire medics were supposed to give in their guidelines. And that happened, I imagine, by them grossly overestimating what he weighed.
Would love to know, why are mental health professionals such as yourself entering into this debate?
Well, ketamine has actually shown a tremendous utility as a drug in mental health. In fact, an article that was published a few years ago, I think out of Yale, called it the single biggest advance in psychiatry in the last 50 years. And it has been shown to be of tremendous help for people with treatment-resistant depression, suicidal thought, and it's being used in the service of mental health by a number of practitioners a great number of practitioners who are very much enthralled by its potential. And to see it misused in this way really, I think, casts a lot of shade on on this field that we are entering into with great respect for the medicine.
Should ketamine ever be used as a chemical restraint by paramedics under the direction of the police, in your opinion?
No, no. Like I said, ketamine, the use of any chemical restraint is really a medical decision. It's not a law enforcement decision in my mind, right? The decision to restrain someone is based on the medical assessment that they are either imminently in danger to themselves or they're in danger to other people. And there are other methods of restraining people short term that the police have at their, that they have available to them that are not chemical restraint.
Can you tell us more about the group that came together to issue the statement? Who is part of this group? How did the effort begin? And what do you expect to come from it?
Well, everybody who is part of that group, it works with therapeutic ketamine in some way. And we all had a real sense of outrage when we read about what happened to Elijah McClain, because it really threatens an area that we hold very dear. For many people, the ketamine therapy is life-saving. It really can drag people out of severe depressions and give them back a quality of life. And so, those of us who do this work hold it in really high regard. It's almost sacramental for some people, really. And to see it sort of desecrated in the way that it has was really alarming. So it really came together organically. Andrew and Alex drafted something, and then they kind of went back and forth, and then got other people involved. And over a period of a couple of weeks and revisions of drafts, the statement came out and then was sent out for signature from other people who work in the field. And I think there are somewhere close to 150 signatures on it now.
Great, Carl. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Marisa. It's good to talk with you.